Oh, on our right-hand side, up at the top of this hill, a couple of saddle-billed storks. They get that name from the yellow saddle shape on their beak, but if you look towards your left, that's a black rhino.
That's a rhino.
Shy and introverted, the black rhino is going to spend most of its life in solitude. That's for a couple of different reasons. They need a lot of land to survive and thrive, but with their land, they're pretty territorial. We can see those saddle-billed storks at the top of there. Both male and females have that 9-foot-long wingspan, but when they find their mates, well, they're partners for life. Well, let's go back to that black rhino for just a second. Just like me, they're introverted. Unlike me, they're highly endangered, with less than 10,000 left in the wild. That's because poachers will often poach and kill them for the horns on the top of their heads. You see, some cultures believe those horns can be used for medicinal purposes, but the truth is, they're made out of keratin. It's the same thing our hair and fingernails are made out of. On that left-hand side, we can see a couple of bongos. They have that orange cinnamon-colored fur. Known as the ghost of the rainforest, they can move almost silently through the bushes. Now we are making our way out of the forest to some more aquatic areas, getting closer and closer to the Safi River. And as we do, you're going to keep an eye on the water. Any weird shaped rock, ripple, or bump, and it could be something like a hippopotamus. Out roosting on that middle island, my favorite bird on the reserve, those are pink-backed pelicans. You can see a hippo floating back there. The pink-backed pelicans get their name because they will turn pink on their backs, but also up into their cheeks seasonally. Inside their throat, they have what's called a gullet pouch. Helps them with fishing. Fish gets caught in the throat, water gets strained out like a colander. Again, you want to keep an eye on the water because that's where hippos are typically going to prefer to be, usually submerged underneath. Here's a quick language lesson for you guys. Hippopotamus is originally a Greek word, and then it goes to Latin. And finally in English, it translates to river horse. And honestly, that describes them best. They like to walk along the bottom of riverbeds just like horses would walk across a field. But even though they prefer to be submerged under the water, they breathe oxygen just like you and I do. So they'll pop their heads up, take a deep breath,
oh, look, Tommy.
They can hold their breath for several minutes at a time. A pretty rare sight, a hippo up and out of the water.
Whoa.
Yeah, did you see it?
That pinkish color is juicy on them. Well, that's actually their sweat.
You see that, Tommy?
Still want to keep an eye on that water. Typically on the left-hand side, you can sometimes see animals like crocodiles. Now they're going to blend in with the water and branches and shadows. They'll lay super still for most of their lives. That helps them to conserve energy.
You see that hippo? That's huge hippo.
We're slowly going to start making our way out of the river area, and one way that you can tell that we're moving on out is because the tree canopy up above us, well, it's starting to thin out. That means we are getting closer and closer to the savanna. But since we're talking about trees, we're going to pass by one that's pretty important. This is a baobab tree. It might look dead and lifeless to you, but inside of that trunk, thousands of gallons of water is stored. And the trunk is a spongy, squishy material. Animals will come up, take a bite, and streams of water come pouring out. It's a lifesaver, especially during the dry season. We are making our way down into the savannah, and as we do, you might start to recognize some of your favorite animals from movies such as The Lion King. But we're probably going to see a few new friends as well.
It's rolling around.
One thing we're definitely going to see a lot of here in the savannah, it's pretty incredible, and it's all around us. It's grass. No one's excited about grass? Well, you should be. The savannah is one of the largest grasslands in the world, home to hundreds of different species like these Hartman's mountain zebras. But also, that grass is important for you and I because it produces things like oxygen, and we need that to breathe. Now, Hartman's mountain zebras, they are a smaller species of zebra, but they grow at about 45 miles an hour, and they can do that for long durations of time. They have a lot of strength and stamina. Their group name is the Dazzle. It's a reference to the optical illusion that their fur makes. You get a couple of zebras together, and to predators, it looks like there's a lot more than there really are, and that makes them a little weary of attacking. Coming up on this left-hand side, some sable antelopes. Sable antelopes aren't like any other antelope on the reserve. They're not scared of predators, but they'll actually stand up and fight back against them. They're pretty feisty. They're known to take on predators like lions and win. That's how they became the emblem of the reserve. They're known as great protectors.
Tommy, look over there. Look at these. Look at those.
Now we can see these Maasai giraffes dotted all across the savannah. And the Maasai giraffes, their spots are unique and individual to each and every single one of them, just like our fingerprints are to us. No two will ever be the same.
Yeah.
Not only do their spots help them to stand out from one another, but they help them to blend in to the shadows of the trees that they commonly feed from, which are acacia trees.
That's a real giraffe.
Just like the okapi from the very beginning, Maasai giraffes have prehensile tongues, but their tongues are about 18 inches long. They can reach back and lick their own ears with it if they wanted to, but they're mostly going to use it to rip the leaves off trees.
No alligator here.
And we see these Onkuli cattle also on our right-hand side. They have those big horns on the top of their head. Blood pumps up into their horn, then back down into their body.
Oh yeah. No, I think.
And it helps them to stay cool.
Yeah, I know. One
It's the overcast. When it's cool like this, they all come out.
Now we're moving across, you can see some wildebeest here. Wildebeest are pretty incredible. They can move in herds as large as 1.5 million. That kicks up a lot of dust. And so they've developed this pretty nifty thing. They have scent glands inside of their hooves. They can't always see in front of them, but they can smell in front of them and stay with their herd.
like a horse.
Oh, really?
The Great Migration they run is anywhere between 500 and 1,000 miles long, and they're going to run that every single year following the rain. That dust that they kick up, well, it doesn't just stay in the savannah, but it blows up into the wind, carrying nutrients, minerals, vitamins that our Earth needs to survive and thrive. And it goes all across our planet. So these wildebeest, they don't just help themselves, but they help every single one of us.
Wildebeest.
On this left-hand side, another Maasai giraffe, but hanging out amongst them, a couple of eland antelopes. The eland's the largest antelope on the reserve, standing about 6 feet tall at the shoulder. They'll drop their body temperature about 10 to 13 degrees to retain moisture. You can even see the youngest member of the Maasai giraffe family. He's less than a year old, but well over 6 feet tall. He's got quite a bit of room to grow, though Maasai giraffes can be anywhere between 16 and 20 feet tall.
Well, that's a lot.
Now, they eat about 20 hours out of the day, giraffes do. And they're ruminants. That means they have a 4-chamber belly that helps them to digest. But when you eat about 20 hours of the day, when do you have time to sleep? Well, Maasai giraffes, they take a series of micro naps, sleeping about 30 seconds to a minute and a half at a time, for only about half an hour of sleep a day. And a group of them, like we just passed through, well, that's very fittingly called a tower. We're making our way to some more popular watering holes now, and it's a good time to talk about it because water is the most valuable resource on Earth. Every single animal from those Maasai giraffes to the flamingos coming up ahead needs water to survive, and so do you. But one of the biggest threats that these animals face are things like water pollution. Plastic, microplastic, they all get into the water system, make it dangerous, even deadly for these animals to drink. And it's not great for you and I either. But we can help. We can do something small like buy a reusable water bottle. It might not seem like much, but you divert plastic from landfills and water systems, becoming a conservation hero for animals like these greater flamingo. Now, a group of flamingos, that's called a flamboyance, but did you guys know no flamingo is born pink? They turn that color from their diets, mostly from something called beta-carotene, which they get from things like brine shrimp. The greater flamingo is the lightest shade of pink out of all species of flamingo, but just like their name implies, they're also the biggest species of flamingo.
Flamingos.
As we move across the land, we'll see that the environment changes around us. This is a good indicator that some of the animals that we're going to be seeing, they're going to be changing as well. And land is going to be incredibly important to them. It's how they get all their natural resources and survive, what their habitats are made out of. We can help protect land and habitats by doing things like planting and using products made out of bamboo. Bamboo is the fastest growing grass in the world, and it makes all sorts of things that we use every single day, like water bottles, toothbrushes, paper, bed sheets, socks. The list really goes on and on. By using products made out of bamboo, we can help save the land for some pretty incredible animals like the cheetahs prowling around on our left-hand side. Now they're a little hard to spot. Their spots help them to blend in, and they're covered in about 2,000 of them. The fastest land animal on Earth, they can run upwards of 60 miles an hour. But even though they're the fastest, they can only run that in short sprints. They'll have dark teardrop marks around their eyes that reflect back sunlight, and a group of cheetahs, well, that's known as a coalition. They won't roar, but purr or click at one another to communicate. But speaking of roaring, you can see an animal that roars right over there. That's a lion. It's a male lion, we can tell because it was made, but look at the top of those copy rocks. A couple of lionesses hanging out.
Oh, look there. There's a lion.
Now this
There's one on
often
here.
shocks people, but lions are big cats and they're incredibly agile. They'll climb up to the tops of copy rocks, but also to things like treetops. They prefer the high ground. He's just eating. Now his mane tells us a lot about him. The lighter the mane, the younger the lion, so we can tell he's still a bit of a youngster. Now, typically lions are nocturnal, sleeping about 16 to 20 hours out of the day. So to see one up and awake, well, that's pretty special. On the right-hand side, a little water buck is hanging out. They have a cute heart-shaped nose, but we'll come back to them in just a second. Now, when a lion roars, its roar is typically so loud, it can be heard for about 5 miles round.
Oh, he's roaring.
And they are symbols of power, nobility, and royalty.
Look at there's two up there.
It's pretty easy to see why they're kings. Oh, on our left, you guys, the smartest animal on the reserve. These are warthogs. Hey guys, you just want to be quiet because they get startled pretty easily. Now warthogs, they love to reduce, reuse, and recycle, but they can also be a little cheeky. They'll move into the burrows of other animals like aardvarks, moving in and just never moving out. Because why work harder when you can work smarter? Both male and female warthogs have tusks, but females are going to remain smooth while males have little warts all over their bodies. And there's that waterbuck again. You can see on his backside they have those white circles. That helps them to find and identify each other in the herd. If we got any closer to the waterbuck, you might think, Christina, they smell bad. And it's true. They secrete an oil that covers their fur and makes them basically waterproof, but it also makes them a little stinky. Waterbucks aren't going to migrate, but they're going to stay by one water source their whole lives. And those are warthogs that we saw. When they sense danger, they stick their tails straight up in the air, run around oinking, letting the whole herd know. I can just see the Warren's post, which means we're getting close to the village, but lucky for us, Warren has their Nigerian dwarf goats out. A smaller species of goat, but just as mighty as any other. They might look like babies, but these are all full-grown adults. Small but mighty. Just like the Maasai giraffe, they're ruminants. That means they have that four-chamber belly helping them digest. and they produce a great economic resource for farmers across Africa. Their milk makes products like soap and lotion and cheese. So all things considered, they're pretty great to have around. As we moved across the reserve today, we saw a lot of really incredible animals, the different habitats and ecosystems that they're all a part of. We talked about things like water pollution and habitat loss, and these are all themes or topics of conservation. I think for a lot of us, conservation might seem like something that's really big, really scary, maybe even unattainable, but the truth is, it's a lot of little actions and choices that we make every single day. We can go out and plant gardens full of bamboo, or you can start a little smaller with something like recycling, maybe doing research on what flourishes in your local habitats, putting up things like bird feeders. All of these things, well, they help us to protect our planet, and that's pretty special because our Earth is truly beautiful and one of a kind. I hope that you guys saw your favorite animal out on the reserve, or maybe a new favorite. If I have any wilderness explorers on board, you've been riding on the Simba 1, and you'll want to remember that because those explorers are going to want to know. Our time on the reserve is coming to an end, which means we have to start to say goodbye, but I think goodbyes are far too sad and far too final, so I prefer to say kwaherini. That just means to go well. And I hope you guys do go well, and wherever your adventures take you next, I hope you're inspired by your time out